Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, my Week 15 recap. In it, we'll talk about Unrivaled goes to Philly. We'll talk about that, guys. Also, your All-Star reserves are in, so we'll talk about that, which means we'll talk about the snubs as well. Also, Paul George out, suspended rather, for 15 games. We'll talk about that. And then Giannis could be on the move, guys. So we'll get into that as well. All that and more. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, it's your boy GD back with the All Things Basketball with GD podcast. And guys, I am back in the continental U.S. I was out there in Hawaii, and listen, guys, it was fantastic. I mean, absolutely beautiful, picturesque. I had the backgrounds, but that doesn't even tell the tale as far as the beauty that's out there. Stayed in Waikiki, that's like staying in Manhattan, if you will, because everything is going on there, the high skyscrapers, but you're just minutes away from the beach, unlike Manhattan. But yeah, it was a beautiful thing. Did luau, of course. If you go to Hawaii, you must visit Pearl Harbor, the memorial there, very somber, very much, a part of the U.S. history there. So you must do that. And then, I've rented a car and went to the north side of the island, which is a far cry from where I was. Very serene, very localized, local eateries, food trucks, and all the works there. And then the beaches. Oh, incredible. High waves, a lot of surfers go there. It was just fabulous, guys. Listen, if it's on your bucket list, run. Don't walk, run and go to Hawaii, man. It's well worth the trip. So spend a week there, do all the things. So there you go. All right, guys. So with that said, we're into week 16, which means the week 15 recap is here for you guys. We'll get it started. And we will start with Unrivaled. Unrivaled, they, on the January 30th, they went to Philly to play in the Xfinity Mobile Arena there. And it was a doubleheader, guys. And each of the games, it featured a Philly native. For the first game, on the Phantom squad, you had Natasha Cloud there, representing Philly in that game. And then in the nightcap, for the Rose team, you had Kalia Copper. She represents North Philly, but Philly nonetheless. So, the Phantom squad takes on the Breeze Ball Club, and a game that was pretty close. Phantom was pretty much in charge for the most part, but it was close. So you get into that fourth quarter, and the Breeze tried to mount a comeback, of course, led by Paige Beckers and Rickea Jackson as well, but they fell short. And actually, it was a Kelsey Plum layup that won the game for the Phantom. Phantom is actually playing well, guys. The Phantom Ball Club, so give them props for that. In the game, Kelsey Plum, 22 points, 4 assists, including that game winner. Aaliyah Boston, who's played solid for them, 18 points with 8 rebounds. And then for the Breeze, Paige Beckers leading the way, 23 points, 6 assists, 2 steals. And Rickea Jackson, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for the Breeze. But it wasn't to be. The night belonged to the Phantom and Natasha Cloud back at home, her team gets the win. So there you go. And then in the second game, guys, this was supposed to be a coronation for Kahleah Copper. It was, North Philly girl comes home, play in front of the home faithful. But Marina Mabry, who, oh, by the way, guys, she grew up about 90 miles from the stadium where she played at. So Jersey girl who ends up playing in Philly. And listen, she absolutely put on a clinic for the Lunar Owls. Lunar Owls who's taking it on the chin this season. No Nafisha Collier with the ankle surgeries that she got. So it has been an easy go for them. But on this night, as the game started, she didn't really get off in the beginning, but she began to heat up as the game goes on. And guys, once you looked up and it was halftime, she had about 25 points, man. Hitting threes from all over the place. I mean, logo threes. She was in her Birkin, as they would say. Deep in her bag, man. Then in the second half, third quarter, more of the same. So much so, she got up to about 40 points. Then came that fourth quarter. You have to get to a certain number there. And they shut her down from three, but she was able, make her normal 2-pointers. In fact, layup at the end for her sealed the win for the Lunar Owls. So the Lunar Owls take the Rose Ball Club 85-75. When the night was said and done, Marina Mabry, 47 points. Good grief. And 10 threes, guys. Wow. Absolutely amazing. And then Timi Fambele, she had a fine game. 15 points and 12 rebounds for the Lunar Owls. Then for the Rose, Shakira Austin, man. Now, I talked about her having to fill the slot of an Angel Reese, and boy, has she put in the work. 31 points, 11 rebounds, 2 block shots. I mean, as the great Lisa Leslie would say, Shakira, I tell you. And then Chelsea Gray, 21 points with 10 assists. And then the North Philly girl, Kahleah Copper, just 19 points. But the night belonged to Marina Mabry. So the crash out queen, the chef, breaks a new scoring record, obliterating the record just set by Dearica Hamby early in the season of 40. So she drops 47, which led me to think, who's a player who could drop a 40 piece? I think of players. I definitely think of a Kelsey Plum, of course. She's one who can light it up in a hurry, especially from deep. I see her. I see a Kelsey Mitchell being a person who can catch fire like that. I see a Ryan Howard definitely being one who can definitely catch some fire there. Alicia Gray, she probably, I would say her as a dark horse, she could drop a 40 piece. Jackie Young, perhaps as well. Chelsea Gray's flirted with it many times. A 38-point game, a 36. So, but I don't think she can do it now that you have a Kahleah Copper in there. So, prior to that, I definitely would have counted Chelsea Gray. But not too many people can do that. I don't think a Paige Beckers would, because she likes to get everyone involved. So I don't see that happening with her. But definitely one who can score in bunches. And Uh, another dark horse, but no, I don't know if she could. I was going to say Brittany Sykes, but I'm on the fence with that. She can heat it up, though. She can heat it up. But anyhow, so that's my thoughts on that. But a successful night in Philly. In fact, the attendance, when all was said and done, 21,490, setting a record for most attendees at a women's professional basketball game. So kudos to Philly for showing up and showing out. I would have went there if I didn't have my Hawaii trip. I'd have been up in that building, man, no doubt about it. So there you go. All right, guys. So that is it for that. Let us turn our attention to the NBA. And we start like we always do, players of the week. And guys, this week we have two players, kind of unconventional, but here we go. Dillon Brooks for the Phoenix Suns, guys. His team went 3-1 for the week. They were all home games. They beat the Brooklyn Nets, the Detroit Pistons, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Their only loss was to the LA Clippers, guys. And a lot of teams are on the losing end to the Clippers these days. They playing that well. But for the week, Brooks, nearly 29 points per game, 4.5 rebounds. Oh, by the way, on the 29th of January, he drops a 40-piece, guys. And his team gets the win. From the field, 53.5%. Absolutely great for him. Even better from three, 54.5 from three. Wow. And then from the free throw line, out of 32 attempts, he missed just 5. So Dillon Brooks, Dillon the villain. Also, Dillon, the player of the week in the Western Conference for week 15. For the East, Brandon Miller of the Charlotte Hornets, guys. His team went 4-0 for the week. And guys, actually, the team has been on a 6-game win streak. So Charlotte Hornets trying to turn things around. They beat Philly at home. They went on the road to face Memphis and Dallas, won both of those, and then came back home and beat the San Antonio Spurs. So quite a week for Charlotte. Actually, they've had a good couple of weeks as of late. Brandon, over 26 points per game, nearly 6 rebounds. And oh, by the way, that Dallas game, I'll talk about that when I talk about performances. What a night for the rookies, but we'll save that for later. From the field, over 51.5%. From 3, 50%. Definitely nice. And then from the free throw line, he went perfect, guys. 25 for 25. In fact, he's been perfect from the free throw line his last 7 games. So Brandon Miller, a young player on the come up. Oh, by the way, both of these guys, definitely all-star worthy. I'll talk about that when I talk about the all-star stuff. But there you go. Brandon Miller, your player of the week in the Eastern Conference for the Charlotte Hornets. So there you go. All right, guys, let us continue. Top stories. All-star reserves, guys. There, we have them now. And the game is going to be February 15th on NBC, guys. It's on NBC. Remember, no more TNT, guys. And before I talk about the reserves, Mitch Johnson of the San Antonio Spurs, he was named as a all-star coach. So far you have Mitch Johnson, you have JB Bickerstaff of the Detroit Pistons as a coach. Now for the third coach, that's to be announced. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. I thought they would just take, the 3 coaches with the best record, and that would put in line a guy like David Adelman for the Denver Nuggets, but that's not the case. So Or it could be. I don't know. I don't know what process they're going to choose to get that last coach, because you got two teams, the two U.S. teams and the world team. So that's to be determined. We'll find out later. So anyhow, let's talk about the reserves, guys. In the Eastern Conference, we'll go alphabetical. Scottie Barnes for the Toronto Raptors. He makes another All-Star appearance, actually his second. Jalen Duren for the Detroit Pistons, their center, All-Star appearance, his first. Jalen Johnson of the Atlanta Hawks. I've been talking about him all season, guys. He gets the All-Star nod, his first. Donovan Mitchell, of course, a mainstay when it comes to All-Star appearances. He gets another one for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Norman Powell, I've been politicking for him last season when he was with the Clippers. Now he gets the nod as a Miami Heat. His first, guys, for Norman Powell, who's having a sensational season. Pascal Siakam of the Indiana Pacers, he gets in. And then Karl Anthony Towns for my New York Knicks. And of course, I'm repping Karl Anthony Towns right now, his shirt. So there you go. He gets another appearance as a New York Knick. So that's your East reserves. Now for the West, Deni Avdija of the Portland Trailblazers, guys. He gets the nod, guys, his first. Oh, by the way, he is the first player of Israel descent to make an All-Star team. So kudos in that regard for Avdija. Devin Booker for the Phoenix Suns, of course, the surprising Phoenix Suns. And, of course, Booker is the head of the snake, so he gets the All-Star appearance, guys. Kevin Durant, of course, Houston Rockets, he's back in there. All-Star yet again, making his appearance as well. Anthony Edwards, Minnesota Timberwolves, no surprise here either, making a All-Star appearance. Chet Holmgren for the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is going to be his first time, guys. The second best player on the best team in the NBA. That's Chet Holmgren, and he's an All-Star now. LeBron James making his 22nd appearance as an All-Star, guys, at the age of 41. So he gets the nod. And then lastly, a man who's in his 9th season, had to wait this long to get his first All-Star nod, is Jamal Murray for the Denver Nuggets. Many a year I politic for him getting in, only to be denied. Not this time, guys. He gets in as an All-Star, and rightfully so. When the Joker was down with the knee injury, Jamal has taken up the slack, and he is now an All-Star, guys. So that is your reserves, guys. Of course, with reserves, you got to talk about the snubs. We'll try to go through that as quickly as possible. Bam Adebayo. We'll start in the East. Bam Adebayo for the Miami Heat. 43 games played, over 18 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds, a steal per game. From the field, a shade under 45%, which actually makes this his worst in his NBA career as far from the field. And then from three, over 35%. So he's taking more threes, guys. Of course, that's going to affect his overall numbers from the field. And then 78.5% from the free throw line. So Bam Adebayo, you can make a case. Not a strong case, but a case nonetheless. So there you go. Paolo Banchero for the Orlando Magic. 38 games he's played. Below 22 points per game, just below that. Almost 9 rebounds, nearly 5 assists per game for him. Shooting his best from the field right now. Over 46%, in fact. Only above 30% from three. That's not his forte, guys. So understand that. 76.3 from the free throw line. So Paolo Banchero in consideration. Joel Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers. Played 28 games. He's been healthy as of late, guys. 22.2 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, which is his lowest at this juncture of the season, guys, and nearly 4 assists, and well above a block per game. Shooting at 49% from the field, guys. From three, don't even count on that, although he goes out there and does it. 85% from the free throw line. Brandon Ingram for the Toronto Raptors. 49 games played, over 22 points per game, almost 22 points per game. A shade under 6 rebounds, 3.7 assists. Shooting at 47% from the field, nearly 36% from three, and well above 83.5% for Brandon Ingram, who, oh, by the way, he's been healthy all season long, guys. No real major injuries, which, the past few seasons he's dealt with injuries of some form or fashion. He's been injury-free, but the way things shake out, guys, unless they were amongst the top 2 or 3 teams, you weren't going to get an additional Toronto Raptor in there. It was either Barnes or Ingram. You could have went either way, to be honest, but Ingram's a snub. Brandon Miller, I just talked about him. 33 games played, nearly 21 points, well over 4.5 rebounds, well over 3 assists, and a steal per game. Shooting at 43.5% from the field, 37.5% from three, and then from the free throw line, just a shade under 88%. So Brandon Miller, I venture to say a future All-Star, but snub this go around. Michael Porter Jr. for the Brooklyn Nets. Now, he's the only show in town, but listen, he's got improved numbers across the board. 38 games, well over 25.5 points per game. That's his best. 7.3 rebounds, another best for him. And well over 3 assists, that's a best for him. Over 48% from the field, nearly 40% from three. That's the big difference with him, guys. He's really knocking down the three. And then over 85% from the free throw line. But, it's always that argument, guys putting up huge numbers for bad teams. So that's always a double-edged sword, if you will. But Michael Porter Jr., he has the numbers here, guys. But an all-star snub. And then Nikola Vucevic, you could probably nominate him any year. He has those kind of numbers for the Chicago Bulls. 48 games played, nearly 17 points per game, 9 rebounds, and almost 4 assists. 50.5% from the field, well over 37.5 from three. He's taken a few more threes, guys, which has kind of lowered his average from the field, but he's still above 50. So there you go with that. And nearly 84% from the free throw line. So that's Nikola Vucevic. So there you go there. So that's your East snubs. In the West, the biggest one, and I'm not going alphabetical here, Kawhi Leonard for the LA Clippers. Think about this, guys. 35 games played, which that's very good for him. Over 27.5 points per game, which is a career best for him. Over 6 rebounds, over 3.5 assists, and he's tied for first, 3-way tie, by the way, with 2 steals per game, guys. That's the kind of season he's having. From the field, 49.5%. He takes that. Over 39% from three. Yes, nice. And over 92% from the free throw line. In fact, guys, he's fourth in the entire NBA when it comes to free throw percentage. Kawhi Leonard, an absolute snub. And people will say, oh, he should have been there instead of LeBron. Here's LeBron's numbers. I'll give them to you. 31 games. Remember, he got the slow start because of the sciatica. Nearly 22 points per game, nearly 6 rebounds, and well over 6.5 assists, and over a steal per game, guys. From the field, 50.5% from the field. Shade under 33% from three, and then 73.7 from the free throw line, which you'll take from LeBron at this point. But nonetheless, listen, I don't know how you reconcile this, guys. Oh, by the way, the intuitive dome, that's where the game's being played, which, oh, by the way, is the LA Clippers home court. And you don't have an LA Clipper guy like Kawhi in there. Oh, by the way, James Harden, here's what he's done. 44 games, over 25 points per game, nearly 5 rebounds, over 8 assists per game, which, oh, by the way, he's third in the NBA in assists and nearly 1.5 steals per game, guys. So, James Harden. And then from the field, just under 42%. That's how he does. You know, it is what it is. Well over 34% from three. Actually, 34.5%. Well over that. And then from the free throw line, he's above 90%. So you got two guys there. In fact, he's fifth in the entire NBA in free throw percentage. So James Harden and Kawhi Leonard not getting a nod with the game being played in their home in the Intuitive Dome. Absolutely unbelievable. But, you know, some people will say, oh, maybe. And I heard Rob Parker and Kelvin Washington of the Odd Couple talk about this. Maybe the fact that, well, I think it was more Kelvin Washington trying to allude to the fact that, remember all the shenanigans that's going on with him and the owner, how he's getting paid this for this thing, kind of getting paid under the table. So there's that. Also, you know, him being the, I would say, the not the most loquacious superstar. He doesn't talk much. So, you know, that's a bug in the bonnet of Stephen A. He calls him an unmarketable star because he doesn't, you know, promote the team. So could that be a factor as well? I can't call it, but it's just insanity to me that he's not in there. But what do I know? So let's continue. Dillon Brooks of the Phoenix Suns, I talked about him. 44 games played, above 21 points per game, which is a best for him. Over 3.5 rebounds, well over a steal per game for him. Shooting a career best from the field, over 44.5%, guys. That's good for him, I guess. Well over 36% from three, and then 85.5% from the free throw line. And that's a career best for Dillon Brooks. Dillon, the villain, and an all-star snub. Keontae George of the Utah Jazz. And I think this falls in line with the Michael Porter Jr. argument. A player putting up career numbers, but with a bad team. 47 games played. Over 24 points per game, career best. 4 rebounds, career best. Well above 6.5 assists per game, also a best. And well over a steal per game, a best for him. from the field. Now, remember, guys, this was a guy not even shooting 40% from the field his first couple of years. Nearly 46% from the field. Wow. Huge improvement. And well over 37.5% from three. Another improvement. And from the free throw line, above 89%, also career best. So Keontae George, strong argument could be made for him. But again, a player putting up numbers with a bad team. Oh, by the way, his teammate, Lauri Markkanen, 36 games played, nearly 27.5 points per game. That's a career best for him. Over 7 rebounds, which puts him at his career average, and over a steal per game. 47.6% from the field, nearly 36% from three, and nearly just a shade under 89% from the free throw line. So the guy's actually putting up better numbers, dare I say, than when he got selected as an all-star selection a couple of years back. So he has an argument. Julius Randle of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He played 50 games, guys. Over 22 points per game, nearly 7 rebounds, which is, his rebounds go down. You got a Rudy Gobert next to you who's grabbing up everything. Nearly 5.5 assists and well over a steal per game. Over 49% from the field, just 33.5 from three. His 3-point percentage has gone down as of late since he's left the Knicks. And then a career best from the free throw line, nearly 82% for Julius Randle. Solid player on a solid team, but on the outside looking in. And then last player, Alperen Sengun for the Houston Rockets. 40 games played, 21 points per game, over 9 rebounds, nearly 6.5 assists, which is a career best. Almost a steal and a half per game and a block per game for him. Shooting at 50% from the field, over 68% from the free throw line. So those are your snubs, guys. Now, there's an open opportunity in the East. If Giannis isn't up to it, you're going to have a spot open. Now, the way I see it, you need 8 players to constitute a world team. You could go this route. So we'll include Giannis, Luka, SGA. He plays in Canada, so that's not the U.S. Joker, Wemby. So that's 5 right there. There's 5 international players. Then you go down the East roster, Pascal, Siakam. That makes 6. You can make a case for Karl Anthony Towns being Dominican. I think he's more so American than he's Dominican, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. So, yeah, Dominican-American player. So you can make... Yeah, so you can make a case for him as far as that goes, if they were to go that route. I don't think they do, but there you have that. And then also Avdija, Israel. So that would make 8 if you include Cat. 9 would be Jamal Murray. So he's Canadian, by the way, guys. So if you replace Giannis, you can replace him with a Paolo Banchero. You can replace him with a Joel Embiid. These are guys, Paolo Banchero of Italian descent, Joel Embiid from Cameroon. So you can go either way as far as that goes. This way you have a world player. So you can go that route, guys, in the East, if that's the case. So we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, that's it for the All-Star stuff. Let us continue. Paul George suspended guys 25 games for violating the anti-drug policy. And guys, with him out to 25 games, he's going to lose $11.7 million in salary due to this tough blow for Paul George and the Philadelphia 76ers. This is his statement, and I'll read it for you. I had it up a minute ago. Just pull it up that way. Here it is. Now, this is a statement that Paul George sent to ESPN, actually to Shams Charania. You know, he's the insider, the NBA insider for ESPN. And this is what it reads. Over the past few seasons, I've discussed the importance of mental health. And in the course of recently seeking treatment for an issue of my own, I made the mistake of taking an improper medication. I take full responsibility for my actions and apologize to the Sixers organization, my teammates, and the Philly fans for my poor decision making during this process. I am focused on using this time to make sure that my mind and body are in the best condition to help the team when I return. So that is Paul George. Now, a few camps have weighed in. I listened to the Inside the NBA guys. Of course, Shaquille, you know, he's a Mr. Letter of the Law guy, so he's not cutting any slack. But Kenny Smith, he made a good point, guys. He said, you know, in a league that tries to promote mental health, this looks like an oxymoron. And I can't disagree with that. And then Charles Barkley, he said, if he's taking something for mental health, why is he getting penalized for that, basically? So, that's not a good look, that he should get a hall pass as far as that goes because he's dealing with mental health. What I'll say, I believe I'm taking a guess here. I'm just swinging in the dark, guys. I think he was on an antidepressant that may have contained something. I think, the pressures of being in Philly, a lot was being made of him coming in. There was high expectations for them last season, coming into this season as well. And they didn't meet it last season. They started off slow this season. So, I'm sure his mental health wasn't the greatest between last season and the early part of this one. So you're probably taking something to, help him get through or what have you. And whatever he took. And actually on Nightcap, Shannon Sharp, he said, in those cases, they prescribe something for you, but you run it through your agent. And you talk with your agent, say, is this going to hurt me, as far as, policy wise or anything like that. And your agent can look into it. He can, talk to a physician or whatever and make sure, your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and make sure, you're above board. But this didn't happen in this case. And you would think that guys like DeMar Rosen, who's dealt with mental health, Kevin Love as well, maybe those are guys you could have leaned on and said, what have you taken that got you through that's, within the confines of the policy. So I think, if I had to say so, the ball was dropped within the Paul George camp as far as I'm sure he's not taking it because, he's trying to get an advantage performance-wise. He's just taking it to get him through. But it contained a substance that's part of that ban list, then, then that's a no good. So, should the list be revisited, giving light to, people dealing with these sort of issues and things? Now, remember last season, Bobby Portis, he took an aspirin. It wasn't over the counter. It was prescribed, and it contained something in it that was on the anti-drug list. And he got knocked for 25 games as well. So, in those cases, I think that's where, like Shannon said, you got run it through an agent, run it through somebody. Maybe another trusted physician, or maybe a guy on the team's physician, or whatever the case. You need second and third opinion, you do that. But, tough blow for the Sixers. They were coming on as of late. Now, you're going to need a guy like Kelly Oubre Jr. to step up. You got other guys there. You got guys on your bench who can kind of fill the void. You got the young player VJ Edgecombe, who's starting to come into his own, so he can pick up the slack as well. So it's going to be a committee effort, but it can be done. So we just wish Paul George well, and we'll see him the end of March, because that's when the ban is lifted. So there you go. All right, guys, let us continue on. Last thing I'll talk about, Giannis officially on the trade market. He said it's time. He's done all he can do in Milwaukee. He brought them a championship those seasons back. He's had a tough go of it as of late with the calf injuries, the reoccurring calf injuries. Then also you have the fact that a few weeks ago he had a back and forth with the fans. They were booing the team and he booed the fans. I said then, that's a battle you'll never win, but yet he did it. So he feels, it's time to move on. Of course, there's suitors, guys. Of course, there's going to be suitors. Golden State Warriors, my New York Knicks, San Antonio Spurs, and for some reason, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But, that's bizarre to me. If anything, y'all need a point guard. Y'all need Giannis, but I digress. And then some teams on the outside looking in, I saw they were talking about Miami as a possibility. They were talking about Cleveland and a three-way with the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe that's a possibility. The Sixers, Dillon, Paul George, in fact, that was brought up. So there's that. And then Chicago, I don't understand the Chicago end of it, but it is what it is. So, so a lot of suitors, of course. This is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I would worry about the calf injuries, the reoccurring calf injuries. That's not something that, not good. So, but that's a gamble that a team has to take. I know my Knicks were in the mix. In fact, I'll tell you the deal that was on the table as far as they go. It was right here. Yes, I have it here. No, that's not it. Here. Yeah. So the Knicks would get Giannis. They will also get Drew Holiday. This is a 3-team deal involving Portland. Portland would then get Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and Miles McBride. And I tell you, if Portland gets McBride, I think he could have the same kind of effect in Portland that Emmanuel Quickley's having in Toronto. I believe in Deuce that much, guys. And for the Milwaukee Bucks, they get Jeremy Grant, so they get that big contract. Matisse Thybulle and Gershom Yabusele, who the Knicks have been trying to give away at this point. So he gets thrown in there, along with draft picks, about 5 of them to be exact. That that 2026 pick, the one that belongs to Washington, is top 8 protected, and we see they're trying to tank as it is. So that will get rid of a headache for the Knicks. They don't have to worry about that. 2029 first round pick, the best between the Bucks, the Portland, and Boston. Return of a 2030 swap rights via the Trailblazers. Now they'll get some of those picks back they got in the Damian Lillard deal. And then they get 2 picks of the Knicks, 2030, 2032. Pick swaps, rather. So there you go. So, and, that's why I think it's affected Cat's play. I think it's affected Mikal Bridges' play to a certain extent. So we'll see what happens when this deadline comes. Do I think he'll be moved? I tell you one thing, if he's not moved, what does Milwaukee do from here? Will they even play him the rest of the season? I mean, he's took a blowtorch to the bridge over there. So I don't know if you play him. You might be in a Anthony Davis, New Orleans Pelicans situation where, he made overtures about leaving and you couldn't really play the guy. So we'll see what happens. But we'll see when the trade deadline comes. I'll be doing my trade deadline show. So there you go there. All right, guys, I'm going to end it here. I thank you for listening as always. And of course, I'm going to have a part 2. I'll give you the injuries. I'll give you the performances of the week. Also, guys, a couple of trades went down. We'll talk about that. Also, LeBron returns to Cleveland with his son. We'll talk about that. Michael Porter Jr. returns to Denver. I'll tell you how that went. And a whole lot more. So, all things basketball with GD.com. So, website. There you find my clips and full episodes, all the things. Also, on podcast platform, I'm on every single one of them. Apple. Also, my YouTube channel, where you find full episodes and clips. Donate, guys. On my website, main page, buy me a coffee. Spotify donate, PayPal, and then in the scroll, of course, my Cash App, $GD, that's Sports Dude. Social media, Instagram, TikTok, some Blue Sky, some Facebook. That's about it. I thank you for listening as always, guys, and we will talk soon. Take care.